All right, so today's vlog is very impromptu because I just realized that today is, well, tonight, right now, is the lunar eclipse, and it's also a full moon. So I came out here, I'm all set up to do I'm doing a time lapse right now. I'm actually doing time lapse at 400 millimeters on this. So I think one of the things that's going to make this a little more interesting than a normal moonrise, of course, is the eclipse. But since it's not a full eclipse, where I'm at in southern New Mexico, it's basically only dimming the moon. And that's really kind of cool for a photographer's standpoint or from trying to photograph it, because the moon is normally really bright even when it rises. So when you're trying to get a single exposure, it's really difficult if you want to include some sort of background or foreground. And this eclipse is making it just enough to where I can probably pull off, at least in a three bracketed shot, or maybe even a single shot for a single image. And I think that's gonna really add some interest to what would otherwise be just an ordinary moon shot. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so I'll go over a couple of my settings real quick. Since I'm doing a time lapse, I've got it at a slower shutter speed. I find that when I'm doing time lapses of landscape type stuff, a slower shutter speed kind of helps make it a little more natural. So I've got it about 50th of a second. I'm on f5.6 at ISO 320. And it's already underexposed now, but the moon is still just about right, so that's making up for it. So I've only got a couple more minutes. The moon is almost out of my frame, literally not even a couple more minutes. It goes by really quickly, especially the longer your focal length is. And like I said, right now I'm at 400 millimeters, so it only takes a few minutes for the moon to go from the horizon out of your frame. And I'm not gonna move it, I'm just gonna let it rise out and finish up the time lapse. But while I'm doing that real quick, I wanted to just show you what I'm using on my phone to find out where that is. I use a program called Sun Surveyor, and it's really handy. It has stuff for the sun, the moon, and like the Milky Way and stuff. So you can select what you want, and then you can put in your GPS, turn it on, and it will show you. It has a time slider on there too, and it'll show you where the moon is through your screen and where it's going to rise. Or the same thing with the Milky Way. If you want to know where the Milky Way is going to rise, or where sunset's going to happen, or where the sun's going to rise, any of that stuff. So you just hold this out, and once you have your GPS set and everything, it'll show you exactly where it's going to rise. So this is really helpful for like when I came out here during the supermoon earlier, or at the end of last year, and here's that image right here. So to get that image, I used this program, and I also used a program called Stellarium, which is really good to help me. I had to pinpoint exactly the right spot to where I needed to be to see the moon coming up over that feature. And that's a local feature. It's called the Kneeling Nun, so it has a lot of local significance. So I wanted to show that, and I knew it would be close. I just had to find the right GPS in the right place for me to hike to, and it ended up not being that bad. I had to hike maybe less than a mile actually into some trails off of a highway, and I was able to find the right GPS. So I will put the names of those programs and maybe a link to Stellarium, because Stellarium is on the PC, Sun Surveyor obviously is on the phone. I have an Android, so I'm not sure if it's on Apple or not, but the other program that I use that is, I think, on both is the Photographer's Ephemeris. So that does a lot of the same stuff, and it helps me plot where interesting things are going to happen and where I need to be. So check those out in the description below. All right, well, now that the time lapse is done, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the vlog, and I will put like I said, I'll put a link in the description to the programs that I use to help me do this kind of photography. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was kind of short and there wasn't too much technical information going on, but I think the visuals will definitely be rewarding. So enjoy those. Here's everything I got, and we'll see you next time. Also, if you like this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions about any of the technical stuff that I did or any of the shots, leave them in the comments below, and enjoy the visuals.